I'm a member of a Red Sox nation. It's a kind of a family. Wherever I roam, up and way home, that's where I long to be. I'm a member of a Red Sox nation. It's a kind of insanity. Yeah, I live and die with Red Sox pride for eternity. I fake a smile November until opening day. Suffering baseball withdrawal around the clock. When April comes, hey, meet me down on Yankee Way. That's when Red Sox Nation starts to rock.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 66 of the Avid Boston Podcast, presented by AVIDBOSTON.com. For the first time in a few episodes, we do have the Periscope version back, and for those of you staying up late with us, you can, as always, find this episode on SoundCloud within 30 minutes of the conclusion of this broadcast. You can also find it on iTunes by your AM commute. You can find it also on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, YouTube, and Player FM. So, tons of hot topics to go over this episode. Probably some of the hottest we've had all season long. So, we'll get to it. The Red Sox are in rain delay right now in Game 3, which looks like it's going to be wiped off the books because Mother Nature is just not in the mood for baseball tonight. So, we will recap the two games we did play, which were probably a little more interesting than they should have been. So to do that with us right now, my co-host, Dave Kwiatkowski. Dave, how are you?
I'm doing great, Terry. How are you?
Not too bad. So they're like our bitch stepsisters, the Baltimore Orioles. So.
They really are. We just keep beating up on them. Every once in a while, they get a lucky shot in, but that's it.
Absolutely.
So let's be playing them. Unlike the Yankees, we can actually beat them, as we did in Game 1. Rick Porcello got back on the horse and, really it's kind of dominated his start there as we won 5-3, and the bullpen gave up a few runs late, but it was a rainy, weird night, as the whole series has kind of been. Game 2 continued that trend. Drew Pomeranz came back, Austin's favorite Red Sox player, and he decided to lay an egg as he gave up 4 runs in 4 innings. Joe Kelly was mismanaged by Alex Cora a little bit, and again, just still trying to find it as we dropped that game 7-6. And tonight we were on our way to probably, I'm going to say another victory, considering we scored 5 runs in 2 innings and hit 3 home runs, but was up 5-0. But like Terry just mentioned, it's probably going to get wiped from the books unless it starts at 10:30, 11 o'clock, which would be interesting to say the least.
Absolutely. And also joining us, as he often does, you can find him on Twitter, @CapHartsfield. You can find his podcast, the Double Coverage Podcast, on iTunes. Austin Hartsfield, how are you?
A little pissed off at Drew. A little pissed off at Drew.
Drew is your John Farrell for what he was to me. That's where we are for the listening audience.
Yeah.
I
want to light him on fire. It's awful.
Right. Let's go to Game 1 real quick. The one observation I've been making over and over, maybe it's not serious, but it's got me a little uncomfortable, is Craig Kimbrell just lately has a lot of heart attack appearances where the lead runner's getting on and, there's not a huge lead. So, I don't know. I'm sure he'll figure it out, but I just noticed an uncomfortable pattern with him, and I just wish he would be lights out from the first batter, through the inning.
Yeah, he's been a little adventurous as of late, I guess. But
dramatic?
Yeah, dramatic. It's another good word for it. He's getting the saves, so yeah, I would love to see 3 up and 3 down, 3 strikeouts, but he is going to struggle a little bit, and I guess I'll give him a pass because of the rain, but even before that, the last couple times, it's been, a walk or a hit early, and with a 1-run lead or just 2, but I think he'll figure it out, like you said. I don't think it's a major cause of concern. I think I'd be more concerned if he does it against the better teams, to be honest. I don't know if he's as locked in, but we'll get the Yankees for 4 games and Cleveland for 4 games next month. So if he's blowing saves or making them really interesting, I guess it would be something to bring back up, I think.
Yeah.
That rain was coming down, too. Like,
It
I
was
got to give
brutal.
him that.
All series, man. It's been brutal.
Especially the last out, you could almost barely see the players. It was getting so bad.
It seems like whenever I play DraftKings, and I haven't played it as much this year, but you always want to check the weather forecast. There's a site that shows you every game, and it color codes it. So if it's green or yellow, you're safe to pick the players on those teams. Like the game's not going to get rained out. If it's orange or red, you kind of want to stay away from the players on those teams. And it just seems like Washington and Baltimore are always orange or red. And, here we are, with a really messy series. I didn't check to see what the codes were, but I bet this game was orange, every episode and every day, and today was probably red. I'm really surprised. I didn't even check the weather because I was of the attitude today where I'm like, oh, we got the other 2 in. We're going to get this one in, no problem. And Murphy's Law.
This one was the problem.
Yeah, this one was the hurricane or whatever. And, so I don't know. The Orioles, like Dave O'Brien said, they're just kind of sticking it to the Red Sox, making them wait as long as possible. And then,
Good news is that game's probably going to be pushed back to August 13th, which means we get a 4-game series with them later.
That's true.
Yeah, is that a Monday when that takes
I don't know.
place?
It's at the end of a 3-game series with them.
Yeah, I think it is because I was looking at the schedule and there's 3 off days on Mondays in August, so I'm guessing that would probably be one of them, but whatever. Look at the bright side. They're probably not going to have Adam Jones, and maybe not even Gosman or whoever. So
they trade Tillman tonight?
No, he got released because he opted for free agency. I'm not sure how much interest is going to be, but
wow, that's wild to think that was their ace like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he only really had one good season, I feel like, and then he just was injured or just not pitching well. But yeah, I think he's just lost it. I think his career, he's probably basically where Justin Masterson was once we released him, really.
Yikes.
Is what I'm thinking, so... Yeah, so let's move on to Game 2 of the series yesterday.
Yes.
Drew Pomeranz. Now, you guys hate that guy, and I'm not saying I like him, but that performance last night, a lot of teams would take that from a number 5 starter and just hope their bats can get them into the game, really. And
yeah.
I think he's healthier now. That seems really evident to me because he was giving up 3 or 4 runs right away in the first part of the season when he came off the DL, and so I'm not saying that he's going to start Game 3 or 4 for us in the playoffs, but you kind of still need him. I feel like
we need him now. We need him now for sure because of the injuries. Before the injuries, I don't think he would have came back. And if he did, I think he would have came back. They're in the 40-man roster, the call-ups in September, and just kind of like made his way in and was a bullpen guy for us because I don't hate him as much as Austin does, and I was a big fan of him when he was traded, and I think last year was great. And I think even the end of the first year that we got him, his arm just kind of gave out, and Farrell misused him and didn't notice that, the dude's never pitched that many innings before, and a lot of things like that. But since the start of the season, he's been bad and got to worse. But I think if he can get healthy and we take him slow, he'll probably be in the bullpen. But I think that we do kind of need him right now, up until now that we have a new trade in. So we have a new player, obviously. And I think that's where he kind of takes over. And then I wouldn't mind going back to Velasquez and Brian Johnson every 5th day and having Eovaldi being your 4th starter.
I 100% agree, and I text Dave probably, 15 minutes before the game. I was like, he's not even on the mound, and I'm already nauseous.
Yep.
I can't feel safe when he's on the mound. I just feel like he's going to give up 10 runs, because one of those 85 pitches that he thinks he has is bound not to work that day, and he just likes hanging curves.
And he certainly hung a couple of them, and that cost us. But the part I'm really pissed off about is, why is Joe Kelly continually put in high leverage situations when he clearly doesn't have it and hasn't had it for the entire month of July? And I get that Cora wants to show confidence in him, but at this point, we are in a race. Like, we don't have the excuse anymore to say, oh, it's only April, oh, it's only May. It's almost August. And he's either got to do mop-up duty and hope maybe, come in when we're winning 8-2 or something like that, or even if we're down, 8-2, whatever. Just let him get his work in those types of games. Or you have to do a phantom DL type thing and work on his mechanics through bullpen sessions and stuff, side sessions, whatever, and get it done that way, because this bullpen is better than it looks. I mean, Thornburg is trending in the right direction, and apparently him and Dana Levangie were working on a mechanical adjustment, and I don't know if that's why he's suddenly trending the right way, but it kind of coincides with it. I think you got to start putting him in some eighth innings, and if you're worried about his health, because he did come off a pretty serious injury, then that's when you mix in Barnes, or if Hembree has good numbers against whatever team we're playing, mix him in with them. But I don't want to see Joe Kelly anymore, and what I'm doing now is I'm drawing the line, and I've made it a point to not try to criticize the manager very much this year, and he hasn't really given me a ton of things other than my pet peeve of him just giving so many guys like ridiculous numbers of days off, planned days off. And when I was bitching about this on Twitter last night about the Kelly thing, someone jokingly tweeted at me and said that last night was a planned loss, and that's why it was okay for Kelly to be in there. But
jeez.
But I'm not giving him any more passes. I'm gonna go apeshit every time Kelly comes in and he hasn't looked good the last few starts. I don't want to see him in there anymore. And if they add another reliever, great. Apparently we were more in on the Zach Britton trade than I thought we were going to be, at least at that late juncture. I mean, there was only 3 or 4 teams, and I didn't expect we would be one of them. And if we only gave up Jalen Beeks today, that tells me that we're probably still going to be active in that. And Dombrowski said today, he said we're pretty content with our bullpen, but if we have a chance to get better, we'll probably do that. So he's kind of being wishy-washy, but he's certainly leaving the door open for another upgrade. But
no, there's another move coming. We don't know what it is, obviously, but Dylan Dave's always seems like he's got his feet moving with some sort of deal. And if that's all that we gave up today for Eovaldi, then we're definitely making another move soon.
I agree.
Yeah, I would agree. Same thing. I think that we're trying to get a bigger fish, I guess, if there's one out there. But I think that was a great move for both players and for both teams as well. I think Beeks just needs to develop a little bit more, and he'll be perfectly there in Tampa, where he'll be able to kind of maybe be that, starting closer, whatever they're calling it now, hybrid thing, goes out for 2 innings, then gets out of there. Or if he's just strictly in the bullpen or just their fifth starter, every fifth day, roll him out there for, 4 innings, 5 innings, as long as he lasts, and then just kind of, pat him on the head and say good job and just keep working, on our off days and, in the bullpen and stuff. But as for Joe Kelly, I'm not as concerned as you, Terry. I don't think that he's a complete dumpster fire. I don't think that every time he comes in, I'm going to turn off the TV. I think he's struggled recently, but I think, the past 3 weeks, it's been like Kelly sucks, and then it's like, all right, I think he found it again. Now he sucks again, and I think next week he'll find it again. And then I think when he comes down, he'll lose it again. But I think if he just starts doing that over and over, he's going to eventually get it back. I think Cora's idea is he was so good for the first 5 months of the season. It felt like almost every day, that